I'm delivering on a video idea that I had here recently, and that is showing you guys half warm, half cool tone palettes. I have 20 to show you guys, so let's go ahead and get started. Hello, my gorgeous ones. Welcome to Alicia Budget Beauty. My name is Alicia. Here on my channel, I love all things affordable fashion, beauty, and fragrance. I do hauls, tutorials, reviews, eyeshadow palette rundowns, all sorts of fun stuff. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe, stick around, be a friend. Okay, you guys, so yes, whenever I did my video that was neutral palettes with pops of color, and I was going through my collection, I started to really see how many palettes I had that were half warm, half cool tone. And I think that this is a fun video and probably very helpful to a lot of you, because some of you may be like me, that you like both. I see all the time, there'll be questions on Instagram or TikTok, you know, saying like, ooh, are you a warm or a cool tone girl? And honestly, I'm an equal opportunist in a lot of things. That's why I have probably too much of a lot of things, is because I like everything. I like a little bit of everything. So maybe this will give you an idea of some palettes if you are looking for palettes to have both. And then maybe you have some of these and you hadn't really studied the color stories and you didn't realize that they could go either way. So let's go ahead and get into what is on my eyes today. I think this is really fun. And this palette is the Cozy Cabin Holiday Edition by Simply Posh Cosmetics. Now, I really wish this was still available. I think, I'm not positive, but I think she has said she might bring this back during the holidays. And if so, I really do recommend it. Here is what it looks like here. And if you hadn't really ever thought about it being half and half, I think once I say it and you see it, you can't unsee it, right? So here we have the cool tone side, and here we have the warm tone side. And a lot of times I feel like these palettes go really, really well for fall and for winter, because you get these like toasty, Thanksgiving, sort of like pumpkin-y shades here. And then you go into those cooler tones, icy tones in the winter time. So this one really is a perfect fall and winter palette that way. But I love the combination of doing warm and cool in the same look. I know some think you can only do either or, but you can definitely combine them. When I had my YouTube video on this and did my looks, I think I remember some people saying they had never really thought to mix the sides. Why not? You can do whatever you want to with your makeup. And I think it's a really cool contrast. So yeah, I'm loving this look today. I think it's so fun. All right, next up we have the Solmane 2 palette by Oden's Eye. And this one has always given me kind of like mermaidy and sunset vibes. So here we have kind of like under the sea, these cool tone vibes here. And then here is the sun setting on top of the ocean. That's just what I get out of this palette. I love this color story so much. And I am losing some light. Let me give myself some light here. Okay. I love this color story so much. It has always been one of my favorites because it has both tones. Next, we have the Indigo Ink palette by Menagerie. So we have sort of like neon warm tones in here, and then these aqua cool tones. And I think it's such a fun combination. I love blue and orange. I mean, hello, I'm wearing it right now. We have this kind of eggshell blue with a warm orange. I just think the contrast is really interesting. And I think the same about an eyeshadow palette. I need to use this one more because I find so much inspiration actually from this color story. This also kind of goes along with, it's a little bit different, but I've talked about how I love like a gray with a neon. And it's because there's such a contrast that it really makes the eyes pop. This one's kind of that way with like these neon warm tones in here. Really, really fun palette. All right. Then this is, I love this palette so much, and I'm very, very excited because I have the brand new one on the way to me. This is Davini Beauty. This is the Ascensión palette, and the new one is set to be delivered to me tomorrow. By the time you guys see this, I'll already have it. Hopefully, I've already had some looks done, so stay tuned for that. I do now have a code with Davini Beauty, by the way. It is Budget Beauty if you're interested in this palette. But this is one of my favorite palettes in my entire collection. It's a little bit messy because I do have this shade that is busted that I've repressed a couple of times. It's a very, very soft formula of this shimmer here, but it's a stunning one. And this is another one that as soon as I saw it, once you kind of start recognizing cool and warm, then like I said, you can't unsee it. And so I immediately saw this and saw very, very warm tones here and then the cool side. And they are also so pretty together in the same look with this palette. I have a video on this one if you're curious. Some of my favorite looks I've ever done with this Ascensión palette. Next we have Sunset Horizons by Beauty Bay. Unfortunately, this palette is no longer available, and it's a shame because I love this color story. Again, another palette I need to use more. It looks almost untouched. I promise I've used it several times, but here we have warm, 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 cool, cool, cool. I have another idea for a video that this palette will definitely be into. So some of them will cross over in that next video, but for now, I'm not gonna tell you what it is. Sometimes I get worried that I speak my ideas into existence and then life happens and it takes me a while to film it. And then occasionally I'll see some people kind of snatch it up, which is fine. Hey, there's room for all of us, but it's nice to get a little credit if you get the idea from someone. So I'm not gonna say what it is, but I definitely see warm and cool here. I think this color story is so fun. This brand is very underrated, and I used to see people talk about Beauty Bay a lot. Here lately, I never see anyone talk about them, but don't forget, because it's an affordable quality brand. Now, this is a forgotten palette. This is the e.l.f. Retro Paradise palette. I think this one came out about 4 years ago, maybe. And I always really like this color story. I don't think e.l.f. has come out with another eyeshadow palette I liked as much as this one. It is a little bit older, but I just thought it was really fun. And I didn't know why I liked it so much back then. I wasn't as well versed in my makeup in the last 4 years. I've really grown and understood color stories. But now that I look back, I'm like, I liked it because you can do these sort of warm neutralies in here and then pop these sort of like bright, warm, cool tones in here, like the blue and the green and the purple. This one could have also shown up in my neutrals with pops of color video. I did hold back and saved a few that I could have put in that video for this video, and this would have been one of those. Now we have the Ohana palette, the Stitch collaboration with Wet n Wild. I really do like this palette. I thought that whole collection was so cute. If you guys have been with me for a while, you know I love Stitch and you know I do his voice very well. Okay, so I had to sneak that one in there. This one's kind of like almost like a, is it warm? Is it cool? I do see both here. Like I get your warm, you know, with this tone here, the yellow, gold, and then you have your blues. And of course you have your neutrals. And I really enjoyed this collection. I think it's one of their best. I want them to like nail it again when they do their little collections like this, because I thought this one was super cute and it made me so happy. Okay, now we have the, I just like move on like I didn't just suck in helium and talk to you guys. Okay, this is the Iconic London Booming and Gleaming palette. Just a neutral palette, but I love grabbing this one for neutrals, and it's mainly cool, but there are a few like verging on warm tones. Like these here are kind of those like deserty, sandy sort of tones, but then you've got your cool ones in here as well with the black and like a deep purpley mauve. I really like this palette. It's not like the most like hit you over the head color story or performance, but it's a very reliable palette. And if I know, I'm like, okay, I need neutrals, I need cool and warm, this is something I would grab. Now we also have the original, I should have showed this one right after. Let me grab both and show you the original Cozy Cabin and then the holiday edition. So they are sort of similar. This one's actually, I think, all around a little bit cooler than this one. This one warmed up a little bit in these tones from this, but there are, I'd say like these two rows I still consider pretty warm. And then those cool tones here are a little bit deeper than these. I prefer the new one over this one. I really liked this one when it came out, but I thought this was an awesome improvement. And I think the formula improved as well between the two. But if you do have the old one, you could definitely use it instead. Then we have the Nomad Hudson Valley palette. And this is definitely one I think of immediately when I think of both cool and warm toned. Again, warm, 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 cool, cool, cool. This I still think is one of their best curated palettes. I think the color story is perfect. A lot of times with the Nomad palettes, I'm like, I really, really like it, but I would change one or two things. I wouldn't change anything about this palette. I think it's absolute perfection. And you get definitely both sides with that one. Let's go ahead and go into all the Nomad because I have 5. They do really play with warm and cool in their palettes. Again, if you've never noticed it, you might notice it now. This is the Haunted Europe palette that I believe is coming back this spooky season. I don't know if it's going to be a new formula. I just think it's being re-released. We shall see. But again, you got warm and cool in here. This is another one that I wouldn't change a thing. I thought this was absolute perfection as well. I love these moody, deep tones here, but then you do have like your bright orange and golds, and you have like a couple to choose from in here. This one is just so fun. I cannot wait for this to be re-released because I know this is one FOMO. This is like one of the ultimate FOMO palettes for people if they didn't pick it up. So stay tuned. I hope I'm not making that up. I think that's happening. Okay, then we also have the Paradise Islands palette, which has been discontinued. But I love this palette. I always say this is my favorite Nomad palette, and it can kind of vary. I mean, I really love the Hudson Valley palette too, but I love this one because you do have such a variety of colors, and then I think you do have like warm and cool. And we got that strip right here, and then it goes like even deeper into these cooler tones. This is another one where I really see Under the Sea, Sunset on top. One of my favorites. Now the brand new one, and I can show this because I'm posting this after my video for this palette, is the brand new Keys, Beachy, and Peachy palette from Nomad. And if you saw that video, you know I've got a busted mirror over here. So I've kept this to protect glass from getting in my shades. But this one, I really do, again, see both. And I don't know that everyone would see it right away, but once I cover it up, you're not gonna be able to not see it. This is your cool tone here. This is your bright, sunny, warmer tones right here. So actually, I didn't say this in my video because I didn't realize it until later. This kind of reminds me of the Fire and Ice palette from Nomad that's been discontinued, this 9-pan. And then this kind of reminds me a little bit of Cartagena with a little bit more like green in it. I see like a mix of those two palettes in this palette. So again, another fun one. And then I also included the Verona Amore y Muerte palette. And this is a literal like two palettes in one, where I consider these pretty warm. This is maybe a little bit cool here, but the rest of it are warm pinks and reds. And then with your cool tone palette side over here. All right, now we have the Mora Endless Moonlight palette. Now this is sort of on the cusp, I feel like, because it's pretty cool toned all around, but I do think you can get away with saying that these are slightly warm over here. They're sort of like a mid-tone. They're really not cool or warm. And then you definitely have cool side here. But I just love this palette. I love any reason that I have to show it off because I think it's such a good neutral palette that has both, like your grays, your kind of stormy looks, but then also like your everyday neutrals. So it's kind of cheating a tiny bit, but I'm gonna count it. Okay, now let's see if I can get this a little bit more, sorry for that sound, a little more light here. Okay, it's a cloudy day, so I'm not loving this lighting. All right, we have the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. And this is maybe kind of, I don't think it's cheating. I think that this works. So like the peachies give me the warm vibes in this palette. And then like this little quad right here is pretty cool. Some of the browns in here are cool, but I do think that the peaches warm up a look. So that's why I'm counting this. I really like this palette. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but I really like it. Now the Samarian Sunset palette, I've always thought of this as a warmer palette, but then when I was really looking at it, I was like, no, I see both here. So these very, very warm, like I get sunsetty vibes from here, but then the greens are more cool toned. And then of course the shimmers are gonna shift all kinds of different ways, and you're gonna get different, you know, colors depending on how you look at it. But I do think this one is an example of a half and half. Then we have the Electrotrip palette by Melt, also one that I always say was grossly underrated. It's not that it's the best palette in the world, it's not, but it did not deserve the hate that it got either. I really like this palette. I like this color story, and I remember pointing out when I did the video like a year ago, when this came out, a little over a year ago, that, you know, I got real kind of like nighttime cool tone vibes here, and then these like bright tones here. It's a very half and half palette to me. I like this color story a lot. And I know some people saw this and they're like, what do I do with that? They didn't think that the colors went together. Yes, they do. You can contrast. It totally, totally works. Then we have the newer one from Alter Ego, the Mystique palette, which is also a dupe of Natasha Denona Circo Loco palette. I love this palette so much. I think it's one of their best along with Wildwood, but I think in that video I had of this one too, I pointed it out and was like, you know, again, you've got like sort of your tropical oceany vibes here with these cool tones, and then you got the bright tropical, you know, bird vibes here, more vibrant, and they just go so well together. And the very last one is also by Alter Ego, another one of my favorites. This is the Mirage palette. So like the iconic London Booming and Gleaming, this is a neutral palette that has both going on in here. This is a dupe of the Huda palette. And of course you've got your cool tones really right here, smoky looking, and then you've got your warm desert vibes right here. And again, mix them up, do them individually. Definitely try mixing them up, because I think it's really, really fun when you do that. But that is it, you guys. Those are my 20 half cool tone, half warm tone palettes. I really enjoy doing these videos. Like eventually I'm gonna run out of topics and ideas to show my eyeshadow palettes, but I do have several more in mind. So definitely subscribe if you like that type of video. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, have fun shopping, budget shopping. Bye.